Good morning, Namibia. Welcome to the Sport Breakfast Show. I'm Jeanette Krauses, and today we'll be bringing you all the updates that you don't want to miss. But of course, I'm not alone.
She can never be alone. My name is Johnny Konza, and I join Jeanette Krauses this morning, as always, every Saturday, right here at NBC One, to give you all things sports this morning.
Now we have a jam-packed show for you, beginning with the preview of the top-of-the-table battle in the Rugby Premier League with Wesley Fries live from the Hage King of Stadium.
Of course, we will be touching base with that's Manes Hendricks to talk about the Okahashipara race event that's taking place later on this morning.
And the Hopso League is going strong every weekend in the capital. The League Media and Marketing Director Tangi Mulundu will speak to us on that.
And of course, the City of Windhoek is hosting the Cycling Fun Day. They will be joined by Hilda Nathaniel to give us more information on that right there. So this is what you can expect. Now, let's take a quick break and come back with the headlines.
Welcome back. You're watching the Sport Breakfast Show. Now, athletics starlets Christine Boma and Beatrice Masilingi's decorated coach Henk Botha is blaming the agent of the athletes for the false statements during the rounds that the two has parted ways with him. As per Botha, words about 3 weeks, Masilingi informed him of her intention of leaving him because of being in the shadow of Boma and that she is in need of her own environment, which they both agreed upon.
Still on athletics, starlet Christine Boma responded to recent reports which indicated that she parted ways with her coach Henk Botha. The following story will shed more light on what unfolded. Now, in a one-page letter to media houses, Boma said that she considered to make changes to her coaching staff and discussed this at length with her brand new Bradley Agnew, who is her agent.
History was made this week when Botswana and Namibia officially signed the joint AFCON bid in Gaborone. The joint bid between the two countries will be known as the Bona 2027 bid, representing the two countries' first two letters.
And over to football. This week's meeting between representatives from the Namibia Premier Football League and the Normalization Committee, as well as the Namibia Premier League, has given renewed hope to football lovers that their favorite sport will be back in August or September.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back. Now, you know, every time we are having this show right here, we bring you analysts that are going to give us very insightful information on all things sports. This morning, we have Isak Hamata joining us this morning. Thank you so much for having us, joining us this morning.
Good morning, John, and good morning to all the viewers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, the highlights, man. How has the week been like, and what can you say really made strong movements in the world of sport?
Look, just the highlights that you and Jeanette just read, those are really the highlights, but the earthquaking one of them all is the tiff between the two athletes. You are calling them starlets. These are stars. They are big stars. They are not starlets. Beatrice and Christine.
Yes,
and their
that's
coach.
exactly what I want to talk to you about, Isak. The relationship between the two. What is your view on that?
Look, it is said that we have come to this point, that we are fighting for the rights to manage these athletes. Maybe I must say it was to be expected that one day these two athletes would have outgrown the Namibian environment. That is inevitable. Frankie Fredericks went to Brigham Young University many years ago. Tobias Akwenye, Elizabeth Mongudi, Agnes Samaria, all of these athletes, they outgrew the Namibian environment and they went out. The other year, Namibia took a group of athletes to Jamaica because there was nothing for them to do. You would expect these things. Footballers went out for greener pastures. These things happen. For me, it is the manner in which this is unfolding. It is very sad. The government is on record having said that they are the ones who spotted these athletes. They are the ones who gave them to Coach Henk Botha and his wife, put them in the Grootfontein school there. Henk taking charge of them, taking them all over the world. Now, at the point, maybe Henk's his ability to manage them continuously stopped somewhere. But there had to be a proper transition. Now it's so painful. If I were Henk, I would be very angry that these people are being taken away from me. But if somebody had made me understand that your time is up to here, please give them over in a very civil manner. So it is said this disrupts everybody. Will Henk take another athlete again? Will we trust the agents where these athletes are going to? Do we trust what is being said? Because every time one releases a statement, the other one says this. At this point, who is talking the truth? We don't know. Because every time somebody issues a statement, we don't know. And for me, the silence from government side is worrying at this point.
Yeah. I think that's something we can still also unfold later in the show. But on a positive note, though, the Normalization Committee also met with Namibia Football Premier League, discussing the return of football. What do you make of that? Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel?
I'm an optimist, always. I always see light at the end of the tunnel. However long it takes, something must give. The fact that the Normalization Committee is meeting all parties involved in getting football started, that is a positive sign. Now, what needs to happen now is these groups must now identify the stumbling blocks. What are the hindrances that will prevent us from starting football and deal with those so that we can get football started. I think the agreement here is the Normalization Committee wants football to start. The NPL wants football to start. The NPFL wants football to start. The masses want football to start. How are we going to start? What are the stumbling blocks? What are the hindrances? We know that NPL, for instance, was expelled as a member of the NFA. How do they come back? It has to be a Congress process. It cannot just happen overnight. Can the individuals come back? Yes. In what capacity? That has to be determined. So all of these discussions must continue. And unfortunately, we didn't get a full statement from the NCS to what exactly transpired in this meeting. Rightly so, because I'm sure they still have to go and reflect on the representations that were made by the two parties and other parties. They have to consult amongst themselves and then come out with a definite course of action to say, this is how we think football can start, and present that back to the parties. And also an issue of funding that comes up. Do we have the money for the league to start? If we agree today that we want to start with 16 or 12 or 10 teams, how are we going to start in the absence of money? So all of these things must be dealt with before we can then pronounce ourselves as an NC formally.
Now, Isaac, I want to talk about the AFCON 2027, the hosting of AFCON. What is your view on that?
Look, when this thing was announced, I was one of those who had my misgivings about the potential for us to host 2027 AFCON. I probably still have, but once something has happened, once your thoughts have been overtaken by events, you are bound to follow what is happening. A document has been signed into motion. The two countries have agreed to co-bid and co-host if we get those rights. So I think we need to support what is happening as a country. At the end of the day, whether you want it or not, for me, as I said when this thing was first mooted, was at least infrastructure will be developed. Absolutely. For me, whether we get the bid or not, for now is that Independence Stadium and Vineta Stadium will be upgraded to a level where we can play football. At the moment, we can't play football at Independence Stadium. So maybe for me, that is the outtake. Whether we will get the bid or not is really up to the responsible committee at CAF, whether it's the executive or whether it's a chosen committee that will, and also how we as a country and our counterparts, Botswana, how we present ourselves, what is contained in that bid document. Mind you, in 2006, we started a similar process to bid for 2010. We fell out in the first round because our documents were not up to scratch. We didn't provide the proper guarantees. So this time, with the hindsight, benefit of hindsight, we now know the Ministry of Sports was involved in that process. That bid document is in their office. They need to dust it off and see what of it did we not do right and what of it can we beef up so that we can present a proper document to CAF. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for Namibia, and thanks to Botswana for having reached out to Namibia to say, let's do this thing together. Now, my other challenge is, You have other countries also bidding. We are not bidding alone. You have Senegal also saying they are interested. You have Morocco, which is competing either for 2025 or for 2027. Equatorial Guinea, at the moment, has been given the rights for 2025. But CAF is not happy with the progress made. So Morocco wants to take over there. If Morocco then takes over there, we stand a better chance, because this AFCON was hosted last year. It was hosted in Cameroon. It's being hosted in Ivory Coast and then in Equatorial Guinea. So people would say, West Africa has had this thing 3 times. So why don't you give it to Southern Africa? There we stand a good chance, because we are the only Southern African country that. But if Equatorial Guinea doesn't host it, then we will probably have a problem competing with Senegal and so on. So we need to hold thumbs for those that have been appointed in this. There's a joint technical committee. There will be another bid committee of eminent people that will now do the lobbying and all of these things. So we need to hold thumbs, pray for them. I'm a Christian, and so that we can get this thing right.
Hold our prayers all together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Now we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue with the Sports Breakfast Show.